Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with an award-winning songwriter, an author, a speaker, a former guest on the Sobriety Diaries, where we had a great conversation about recovery and sobriety in the music industry. This person is also a contributor to a formative piece of my adolescence, Cracked Rear View. Please give a warm welcome to founding member of Hootie and the Blowfish, Soni, Jim Sonefeld. Hey, Jim, how are you, my friend?
I am having a pretty good day. No complaints here besides, everything.
The world crumbling around us. Yes.
Right. I mean, if it's not the world, it's like your body, or
Yeah,
sometimes my mind is not even right. So
that's so true. Now, do you have any morning practices that sort of get your day jump started and that you don't feel sort of the same without?
yeah, I mean, one thing for me is not at the beginning of the morning. Of course, I like a warm cup of coffee or something caffeinated like that, maybe tea, and that's a really calm way to start out the day. Checking some emails, see what's out there. I try not to jump into social media too quickly, but I'm not
Good
great
point.
at that either.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't look at a lot of controversial feeds anyway. It's more what people that enjoy some of the things like I do are doing around me in the world. So it's not doom scrolling necessarily, but I have to get my workout in before much of the morning goes by. I just it's what reinvigorates me. It's I've Since I was an athlete growing up, it's stuck with me. And that exertion and the feeling in my head and in my body is just something that's super important to get going. And so I love doing that before the day gets too far on. Otherwise, I lose interest and then start looking,
Yeah, the
cookies and
motivation.
ice cream.
Now, do you find, I know we talked about that sort of um, team focus or that like sportsman-like attitude affecting other areas of your life as well. Are you more of like a group sports competitive guy or more just kind of like flexibility and working on your own strength and things like that?
Yeah, I'm more of a lone wolf
Yeah,
anymore. I used to play on teams traditionally, but once I sort of aged out of those, I became more of a lone wolf. And you know what I found going forward too is that it's a really good time as a result for me to have my meditation or take a message in that's a purposeful message, not just random music, which can be fun too, but I'll often try and do something a little more intentional, either a message for my recovery or a message that's going to help my intellect a little bit, or learning about culture and some podcasts. And so I like to integrate that. And if not, one of my workouts is one of my main workouts is swimming. And since I don't have ears and underneath the water, though they're available,
yeah,
I do a lot of meditation and thinking under there. And that's like the one, maybe the only place where there isn't anything to distract me in my vision, which is part of
great
my
point.
maybe
Yeah, the
ADD issue.
biggest
Is that,
distraction.
yeah, everything out there is a distraction for me. So it's hard to find a place of peace. But swimming, which I swim a mile twice a week, is the place that, although it bored me at first, I've realized it's the one place I'm protected. I can think about song lyrics. I can think about what's ahead in my day. I can pray. I can meditate. It's just the most peaceful place, and it consumes about 45 minutes to an hour. So I get that much where I know it's just me and my thoughts and making the most of them. So I tried to integrate that. Running is the same way. I ran this morning and I had an NPR podcast going, and that was
Awesome.
feeding me and nourishing me in its own way.
Yeah.
And so I'm on the elliptical on other days, and that's also I usually turn up music loud on the elliptical. I can get both headphones in and just really exert and feel
Get
like
it
it's
pumping.
energizing me.
Yeah, my dad is 69 and this weekend he's competing in his first Ironman. So
Mm.
he as well is in the pool and in the water a lot. He's been biking and running now for 40 years. So this is kind of a big week for him and you're mentioning like all of this for a reason, I'm sure, for my own, path and um I'm sure I'm meant to hear something that is hidden in this sort of physicality, because that is one area that I can really dive into a little deeper. Um, and
Yeah.
and strengthening my temple. I'm good with sort of the strategy and the intellectual side of things, but the physicality is something I can still um, improve for sure.
Do you feel like you got any of that from your father in
For
any way?
sure.
Sometimes I think we can say it does come from a person. You can look, right through
Yeah.
our age. Other
Yeah.
times may not have. We don't.
For sure. And I
Not,
think there was even a period of time where, out of rebellion, that I, wasn't working out or wasn't running with him. I would have rather had the bottle of Tito's the night before. But yeah, now that I have a clear head, I find that we connect on things that are sort of a part of me, but I let go, during addiction.
uh,
So that's pretty
yeah.
cool.
It's good to be able to circle back and I don't know, pay homage to the blessed things that we might have gotten from our family, and recognize the maybe some of the unhealthy patterns that we're also given, because there's no perfect family, and that's what recovery has done. I think in my life is be able to uh, have a little grace going forward and say, yes, I've signed up for a lot of my miseries. I've volunteered
It's
for
true.
some ideas, but more than likely, I probably had some parents that were telling me the right way to go, and I opposed it. I was
Yeah.
a rebel, like you said. Oh, I'll get you. I'll disagree
I'll
with you.
show
Do the
you.
opposite.
I'll show you. The probably turmoil that we could have spared ourselves, right? But then we look back and we learn half the things that, not to a degree. I think our paths are our paths for a reason. But yeah, it's very interesting how when I at least stopped pushing things away or refusing things, and just kind of embracing my shortcomings or different aspects of my life. When you surrender, and not just for alcohol, I surrender daily in many areas of my life. And I think if that's not a practice that you use as a listener, surrendering and um, you know to a being greater than yourself, or to a higher power, I think it's something that changed my life, and really you should consider the surrender as a powerful thing.
Right. It's not an easy thing and doesn't make sense against a lot of societal teaching, which says fight,
Logistics.
win. You got to win. You're in it to win it. Surrendering is not the idea that society sort of brings to us. So you got to sort of navigate that. And I think just navigating our own will, our self will, and recognizing that it can be good for some things. I've always, since in my recovery, self will, as we say, self will run riot,
That's right.
especially, is something to really watch out for. But I've also learned that my will and my willingness to work hard at something or just fight has gotten me things. It's my work ethic. It's my workout ethic. I had that's my will that is an act there, and it can be used for good. When it's riotous or in rebellion, I don't think it's necessarily so profitable. But my self will can get me places at times.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
not only negative, and I have to remember we're all about maybe about finding the balance in all of these things. How do you navigate it best? And youth is in the way because youth
Yeah.
tells I got to figure it out my way. You don't know anything, even
You
though
don't know
you've been on this
anything.
path.
Yeah.
That's what youth just defines. And you can't see
Wow.
youth until you're out of youth,
Hmm.
unfortunately.
That's so true. Yeah, I just turned 43, and I feel like over the last, like, 5 years has kind of been, I feel like I've, like, crested, out of youth, and now I can see the errors of my youthful ways for sure. Um, Midlife crisis, maybe, but I think that it offers
You think
me a
you
different
think you're
insight.
in it? Are you in it, or are you past it, or
I
because it
think
can
I'm
be long the way
I
I
think I'm
understand
in
it.
it. Yeah, I think I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm in it. On my way out of it, finding passionate things in my life that I love and that I want to spend the rest of my life doing and that I believe is my purpose on this planet, and using those as a way, sort of, not even out of a midlife crisis, but to embrace it and to find the path for my next 43 years.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing, and age is old. It's not something that's a new invention or topic.
Right.
It's the middle passage, if you will,
Right.
is something that humans have gone through for a long time. A great and important old friend of mine, who's a musician, also in recovery, and a spiritual leader for me in many ways, had described to me, and I got sober when I was 40. So this was probably when I was, you know, 42 or 43. We were making a record together. And he said, he said, this whole middle passage thing, and he was trying to describe it to me so I could understand it because I was in the war. I was fighting the old
Fighting
ideas,
for your life.
or wanting to hold on to them rather, and fighting these new ideas. And it's that friction. And he said, look at it like an acting troupe. So maybe there's 8 people in this acting troupe, and they're putting on a production. There's 4 lead actors on stage, and they're each night they're the ones out there that are bringing the show. And you got the other 4 on the side waiting for their chance to get in, right? They're hoping for their chance to get in, but the timing has to be right. They can't force their way out there. And to some degree, the old actors are very happy being the main ones. He said, that is your middle passage, is willingly letting go, and at some point realizing the old actors do need to move off and let these new actors in. And the old actors, or the former leads, represent your old
Mm.
thinking. Thinking
Former
they got
leads.
you
I
from,
like
yeah,
that. Yeah. The
they got
former
you from
leads.
age 10 to 30 or 10 to 40 or whatever your period is, but they do need to move on. The guys on the side, the people on the side, you need to let them in, and that's your new ideas and your new attitudes that will take you into, your more mature years of 40s and 50s and 60s. And I don't know if I described that as simple as he made it for me, but it was
Yeah.
like, you're right. I need to. Part of life in the middle passage is about letting go of some of these old ideas that had their time,
They did
but
have
they're
their
not for the
time.
future. They're not for the
Yeah.
future. They don't work anymore. And you got to hand that baton off. And I'm sure there's a racing analogy for that
There
too.
it is.
But I like the acting troupe,
I
because
do
you
too.
could
Yeah.
see the new ideas out there just waiting to get in, but I don't want to let them in because I'm stuck in my own world.
Yeah, for whatever reason, for the complacency or for, the fear, or many different reasons, I'm sure contribute to that. But yeah, I think that's a great point. And I don't think that I was able to start doing that until I, because for a long time it was just this negative connotation about this sort of phase of my life when I was kind of blacked out and not, focused on my responsibilities and focused only on alcohol. And I just had this negative feeling toward it and toward alcohol. And I had to really start with some outside help as well. This was in therapy, realizing that it wasn't all bad. I did have really great times during that period of my life as well. I had a lot of fun. There were times that I did grow and still learn things during that era,
Nice.
and embracing that there were still positives that I could take from that experience. I still say today I'm a grateful alcoholic. That's the craziest oxymoron you can ever say. But there is this level of gratitude that comes from the experiences that we go through in life, and how we handle them, and come out on the other side. And for me, betrayal, has been a big one of those recently. And I was just thinking, I was talking about this Sprinter van conversion and like hitting the road. And I'm like, I have the perfect man in front of me to talk about uh, going on the road. But I'm curious, we hear a lot of stories about rock and roll, rock and roll and bands on the road. And I'm not asking you for any controversy or scoop, but were there times on the road where it was just like, I've got to get the fuck away from these other guys? Like, I'm going to lose my mind. Tell me about those moments.
Yeah, those times probably came later when our careers during fame or after fame became more complicated,
Yeah.
and people started going in different directions, and you had people pulling us in different directions in the business, and money gets in the way often when you don't have things to fight over. You don't have things to fight over, and money is one of the things that a band might typically end up fighting over. And we had some. I mean, we really did enjoy each other's company. We had some blissful yet rugged and difficult sort of 5 years in a van. I mean, we lived in little dumpy apartments here in Columbia, South Carolina, but as if we could have booked 5 gigs a week and gotten in that van and gone off from the beginning, we would have. We worked day jobs for several years while we got our footing because we could only manage to book 1 or 2 weekend gigs. But the more we went on from in that 5 year period. And this was like the end of 89 when I joined on through 90 and 91 and 92 and 93, all pre Cracked Review. We were building Cracked Review, the
Yeah.
album that you mentioned earlier
And
during
now,
that.
was the formation more of a organic thing, or was there industry involved? Just
We were not hardly in the music industry at that
okay.
point.
Yeah.
We were looking for it. We were clamoring to be noticed. And that's the plight of any artist, typically, whether you're painting something you want someone to see, or whether you're a sculptor or a author. We're doing what we love so deeply. Money isn't the first requirement. An ability to make some sort of living or approval of others is a little important. I'm honest enough to admit that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
That's true.
wanted more fans.
Yeah.
If we had 12 in Greensboro and a Friday night in May, we hoped when we came back in July that we could have 25. That's
Reasonable expectation.
yeah. So it was in that way it was blissful. There's a saying that says the richest person is not the person who has the most,
Mhm.
but who needs the least. And that's defined us in that period. We didn't have many material things at all. We could barely pay for our rent, and any money we made, we put back in for studio time or t-shirts to sell or
Yeah.
whatever it was. But it was very, very peaceful. We didn't need much, but we had each other, and we were so happy. And that's because we didn't have needs and expectations. We were doing what we loved. And even after Cracked Review blew up big and we got out of our stinky van into tour bus.
A
Um,
bus.
yeah, it was still good for a while before the bigger challenges came. But van life is great. Nothing. I mean, it's very
Ah,
maybe American. I think
yeah.
of an old VW bus and the
Yes.
cities where it represents a little bit of industry and independence to say we're just hopping in this little piece of metal and we're putting some gas in it that we can afford and we're going. And sometimes it's a little organized, sometimes it's random, but it's a really cool lifestyle that I began to miss later on in our complicated,
I'm sure. Yeah.
my alcoholic and complicated divorced life. It was like it sure was easy back that in the van.
Yeah.
You didn't have many things to worry about.
How did you guys handle or perceive, I guess, your relationship with the fans? Because, I hear interviews with artists that perhaps have complicated relationships. I feel like you guys, though, were pretty chill and just like doing your music, like stayed out of controversy. Were there any like big headlines or like things that threatened the success of the band from like an outside source that you remember? And how did
No,
it ever like affect your relationship with the fans?
we dearly appreciated our fans
Yeah.
because we were still and remain fans of other bands. Like we were at the time again where we were honing our craft and learning to write songs and touring the Southeast. We were still like massive fans, and we would go to concerts.
Yeah.
So we weren't that much different than the fans in that sense. So in that sense, I think we ingratiated ourselves to them after a show because we didn't have costumes. We
Yeah.
dressed in we wore. We didn't have enough money for costumes. That wasn't our style. But
Yeah.
after the show ended, you broke down your own equipment. You carried it out the back door, and then you came back in the bar to drink with your fans. And
Right.
we've always had that relationship. And we also, in a little more transparency, liked to meet our fans on a
Yeah, of
deep
course.
level, or sometimes a very shallow, limited
Yeah, of
level.
course.
But that was part of our motivation. And when you're not a big band and there's not 10,000 fans and security and barricades, you can really have an intimate relationship with your fans. And we
Yeah.
did. We had some people. There are people from our bar days in the Southeast that have remained friends of ours, and I can speak for all four of us. 35 years later,
Wow.
because
That's
there was
pretty
nothing
special.
to, yeah, there was nothing to get in the way of being friends with people. They liked
Right.
your music. They trusted that you were bringing them entertainment for $6, and you
Yeah.
were greatly thankful for them too for doing that. And so when it got big, of course, it exploded it and changed it a little bit. But I still see people from those days. It's crazy, and there was a great trust. We never. I don't think we fell out of trust or any of that. Speaking of betrayal too, and it was more of the industry and the business side that ever left me with that feeling of you hurt me or you
Yeah.
left me or you abandoned me. I don't think our fans ever did. We proved that in 2019 when, after over 10 years of not doing a tour outside of South Carolina, we were selling out amphitheaters across America that summer. And again in 2024, our fans were not the betrayers. It was
Yeah.
the difficult business and industry that demands the next big thing,
It
demands
is like when you think
margins
about
and
the
money.
music industry, it seems like the greediest industry. And it's like a well-known, like we just talk about it like it's normal, like it's greedy. They screw over the artists. They don't care, and it's just like something that we've come to accept. I think it's the craziest thing. But I felt though that you would have probably a feeling, or most musicians may have that feeling that it's just like cranking out. It's the dollar, right?
Yeah, and it is a business, and that is a difficult place for an artist uh,
Yeah.
to realize, to say, hey, I'm volunteering to get in this relationship, like any relationship, a personal relationship. Sometimes it's reciprocal. Sometimes we do things for each other and we expect things. Well, in the music and then the music industry, it's the same thing. We don't have any money. We don't have any leverage. We're a little stinky band called Hootie the Blowfish from South Carolina. We need you, music industry.
Right.
So we enter this relationship knowingly, but also we're naive. We don't know how it really works. And they do know how it works.
Yeah.
They want you to sign a shitty little contract where you get about 9 cents to the dollar. They fund it, which we couldn't have done ourselves.
Right.
They put you in with a great producer. They give you hope, right? They give you the opportunity for success. And we both groups enter into that. They just have a little more knowledge of the big game. And
Right.
geez, no complaining here either, because
Right.
we're one of the few bands that broke it through and made it big beyond anyone's expectations. The hurt came when, after that explosion called Cracked Review that averaged selling 1 million records a month in the year 1995. After that, you feel like, hey, we're still here.
Yeah.
Um, Atlantic Records, to call them out by name,
Yeah.
to say we want to put out a second record, and they were still on board. But by the third record, I think it's fair to say they had already made their millions off Cracked Review. It continued to be a album that streamed and downloaded and sold CDs for many years. So I think they were just less interested in our newer products, and that's where the hurt came. You don't care about me. It's like, it is literally almost like a personal relationship, not a healthy one, but where
Not a healthy one. Yeah.
we're looking at the artist at the record label saying, you hurt me, you left me, you don't care about me anymore.
Well,
We need
there is
you.
this power dynamic, and what makes an unhealthy relationship is when the power dynamic is used and abused, and they always are using and abusing the power dynamic of it all. How can it be a healthy relationship?
Rob, because we've signed into the fact that we are loyal to them.
Yeah,
Look, we
I'm
need that,
willing to
but
keep making beautiful art for you.
but Atlantic Records also has 90 other girlfriends or
Yeah.
boyfriends or fans on the
Yes.
side. And we knew that when we signed with them. We knew that at some point we might become not a priority. We might become the one who gets left and they change their cell number because they've got somebody else now. So
Right.
we willingly
And you
signed
were
up.
even okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, when it's working and you're still getting paid because it's a business relationship, it seems okay. In fact, good money or a good paycheck often camouflages that unhealthy relationship, and it did. It was never healthy. You're right. They had all the leverage. They could do whatever they want. If Cracked Rear View wouldn't have taken off, who knows what would have even happened
Right.
in that relationship because they did
Right.
hold all the power. But it's a
Now, once you get the first time you got some money behind a project, so that was developing Cracked Rear View, right?
right.
Okay. And so when you get a little money behind it, then do they require that you're like in LA recording, or can you still be at like your home studio? Like, do they then control the production of the album?
They were very great with us, and we maybe were unique. We were what they call a baby band. We
Yeah.
weren't broken yet. We weren't national. We weren't on radio, so we were still in development. But we they invited us to come to LA to work in a studio that was a state of the art studio for that period with a producer who had made hit records in the '80s with another rock band, and it was great. They we were learning and taking their lead because we didn't know about the music business.
Right.
If they said, "Hey, here's 125 grand to pay a producer and make this record and put you up for a month or two in LA in this another apartment," that sounded good to us. The money looked like it was right. It's all slightly leveraged. You have to pay back all the money that they're air quotes
Like
giving you.
fronting you, really, or
Yes,
loaning you? Yeah.
yeah, fronting it would be the word.
Yeah.
So some things you share the expense of, other things it's us to pay back. And again, when you have a successful product, it camouflages any of the unevenness. It because I'm getting paid, I'm not worried about if they're
Yes.
taking 10 times as much
Right.
because I'm getting paid. I'm not worried. But you end up having to audit them. So they stayed out of our artistic endeavors, which was beautiful.
Yeah.
They stayed out of it on our first three records and probably never really butted in. We always have just sounded like Hootie the Blowfish. We're authentic and original, and we weren't looking to redevelop ourselves or become the newest sound. That was
Yeah.
for other bands to do.
Yeah.
We're more cutting edge. That just wasn't our authentic state. So they were pretty good about leaving us alone for the artistic creation part. And I'm thankful for that because I don't listen back to our old
Yeah.
records. Oh, that was stupid. Why did we listen to the record company when we, had that instrument and on that song?
Right. You protect the integrity of the art
Yeah.
and let them handle the business anyway.
So it was a good relationship on several levels. It's
Great.
maybe like again, I go back to our personal relationships. It's a lot of recognizing in hindsight the contradictions that we often have in the way we live. On
Right.
some levels, I'm very self-centered. On other levels, I can be giving. On other I can be greedy as hell at times. Yet I give to charity. Like all these opposites, and I have to own those. And I can try and resolve them. I have the tools to now, but it's interesting to see, especially after I quit drinking and tried to do the step 4 in the 12-step model, which asks us to do a written inventory of a lot of our life. I saw all these things that were opposite and didn't make sense. I was sure I was 100% this and
So yeah,
zero opposite, and I was all these mixtures of
you
things.
start
And
seeing patterns in your own life, right? And patterns in your
yeah,
own
right.
behavior. And you're like, wait a second, I don't know about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rigorous honesty, right?
Yeah, it can get you something,
Yeah.
and then, it's what do they call it? It's not just fact finding, it's fact facing.
Fact
Uh,
facing.
that,
That's right.
you gotta it's not enough to have knowledge of your thinking or your ideas or attitudes. It's facing them squarely and moving towards a better way to do it. And that's probably the harder thing And that's recovery for me, going forward and trying to live a sane life and be a
Wow.
good
Yeah,
person, not just a dry drunk.
that is recovery, right? Showing up in other areas of our life in better ways. And for me, that means utilizing these sort of tools that I've learned along the way. So, Jim, I guess if we can leave the listeners with, and I was going to mention this too, it's unusual for a group of men to have this, 30 plus year relationship where there's been business and there's been like, the personal relationship and this sort of evolution of these pretty strong relationships. It sounds like um, I guess, advice would you have, or speaking on your own experience as some parting words of what you have found has worked for you as far as um, relationships, I guess, and
Yeah.
um, strengthening relationships.
Well, I mean, I think I've learned a lot about boundaries in life and relationships. It's important, and until I worked with a sponsor who could guide me into better thinking and have fewer regrets, I wouldn't have thought that I was lacking boundaries. I thought I made myself clear, or I thought it was obvious what I expected of people,
Good point.
and but really, I didn't have many boundaries, and I had to set them as life went on after recovery and after a divorce and remarriage, and then becoming a stepdad and having a very difficult relationship within my band because my second wife was previously married to our guitarist. So
Yeah, that'll add a little layer to
yeah. So if you
it.
don't, that's a good time to establish some boundaries.
Yes.
And so we had decided as a band, we're not the most mature dudes ever. We've made bad choices in our lives, but eventually you say, well, I'm going to live and let live. I'm going to try and do my best. I'm going to try and let people know where my boundary is, knowing that they may cross over it sometimes. It's not going to be the end of our relationship. It's going to be a moment that we're going to have to heal from and that we're going to have to resolve. But instead of making a demand that is hard and says, never ever, I've just had a little more grace, and we've been able to practice grace within our relationships. So we got past my relationship with someone my guitarist used to be married to. We've had a big, unique, weird family. We've survived our singer going into another genre of country and being hugely successful and really not needing us as much. And we've decided,
Was
that's
there
okay.
any betrayal, feelings of betrayal there, Jim?
No, I mean, I am so thankful that when that period happened, I had been sober and was, I had let the new acting troupe from the side of the stage in
There it is.
years earlier, and they were giving me better ways to resolve things. So I could look at Darius and go, gosh, it does suck that he's having this huge success, and it's not with the band that I play in, it's with
Yeah.
his country guys. Yet the truth was, that's okay. That's his journey. He still needs Hootie the Blowfish. He doesn't want to. He didn't like kick us to the curb and
Heck
quit
no.
the band. He just
He's
had
there because of all of you. Yeah.
yeah. And in the end, for 10 years, he towed Hootie the Blowfish along. His country act was the thing that allowed people to remember Hootie the
Right.
Blowfish by the time we
Love
weren't
that.
making records.
I
So
love that.
perspective, right? And betrayal. One thing can look like betrayal. If you change your perspective, you can have a whole new attitude about it.
Wow. There it is. What a powerful ending. Jim, enough said. JimSonefeld.com.
Yes, I've got a new website. In fact, go on there. You can see
It
my music, my speaking.
it looks
Career.
killer. Yeah, it
Yeah,
looks
if you
really
need
good.
a
I will link
public
it.
speaker out there, go to the website. It's got some good promo reels and a way to connect. And yeah, JimSonefeld.com. I'm on Facebook too, so come visit me there for pictures of my dog and
The good stuff. Jim, thanks so much. Hey, when I'm in South Carolina on the bus, can I stop by and see you?
You better.
All right.
Nothing better than your friends with vans.
That's right.
Coming by and say, check out my new van. That's what it's all about.
Check out the van. All right, I'm going to hold you up on that, Jim. Thanks.
Yeah, take care.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Hey, what's happening?
Hello, my friend.
How you been?
I've been good. How are you?
Good. Staying busy enough, I suppose. And
Yeah, I'm trying to. Um,
right.
yeah, yeah.
What uh,
Embarking on a few new endeavors, so I'm keeping myself busy.
what else you got going besides the new podcast?
Yeah, so the new pod, and then also, just taking my own spiritual healing and practices that I've used and turning it into sort of like a healing platform. And I just created a GoFundMe that I'm about to launch for a Sprinter van to do a full conversion of a Sprinter van, have a little podcast studio in it, and have this mobile healing studio that I hit the road with, create content, hit up small towns, tell stories of people that have been silenced and not heard, and just help heal people out on the road.
Wow, that's a pretty
It's a big
cool
endeavor.
idea, just to get out there and like see America or
Yeah,
whatever.
right. Like the forgotten voices, the small towns. And I think those are stories that can really impact people. And those are the stories I love telling.